Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. Tim back in the Revolved Realty Studio. Something a little different today. I'm not here to talk about real estate. I'm here to talk about being an entrepreneur in this current environment that we're in. Just a couple of thoughts because you may not know this about me, but before I got into real estate, I was an entrepreneur here for many years. I think I started my first business in the late 80s. God, dog, that's a long time ago. Early 80s, late 90s. Over the course of the last 30 years or so, I have started a number of businesses, most of them successful. I had a few that didn't make it, but most of them were very successful. And as a result of that, I've done a lot of coaching for many years. I taught entrepreneurial classes for the Chamber and the Women's Business Center. So I have a little bit of knowledge as far as how to start and run and grow a business. And I look around now and see what's going on with a lot of small businesses and thought I would just offer my 2 cents for whatever that's worth. It may not be worth 2 cents to you. And if that's the case, more power to you. But I do have a lot of folks that know my background. And so I'm getting calls and messages quite a bit asking my advice. So, and you know, my advice is based on what I would do if I was in your situation now. You know, fortunately in real estate, my business has changed very little. My revenue has not really gone down. I am as busy as ever, but I don't have a retail establishment. I'm not a restaurant. I'm not a store. I'm not a company that depends on people walking in the door and buying goods and giving me money. I was in that position back in 2011 when the tornado outbreak came through and knocked out our power for a week and a half, 2 weeks. I've told this story before. At the time, I had 2 retail gun stores, one in Madison, one in South Huntsville. The businesses were doing very good up until the tornadoes hit and we were forced to shut down. Now, I remember that time well. I remember wondering if we were going to make it because, you know, I had 2 stores. I had, I think, 35 employees. And of course, I had money going out. Even though the doors were closed, I was still having to pay rent. I had bills that were due. I was trying to keep my key employees paid. I continued to pay my managers. And it was a really rough time. And I remember what I did is what I'm going to advise you to do today. You know, I tried to conserve cash. I tried to tap every source of cash that we had. We were only closed, I think, for a week and a half in Huntsville and 2 weeks in Madison. But when we did open the doors and we got back going, it was really tough because a lot of my resources had been depleted. And to be honest with you, mentally, I was depleted. I was so done with that business and, you know, what I was having to deal with on a daily basis. And ultimately we ended up shuttering the doors. But anyway, so I do have a little bit of experience in this. So I thought what I would do today is just kind of share my thoughts. If I were in your shoes, this is what I would do to try and survive this virus and the ultimate shutdown of your business. Okay. I think the very first thing you need to remember is while your business is shut down and there's no one coming in the door to give you money, that doesn't mean the money doesn't continue to go out, you know, in the form of rent, in the form of utilities, in the form of your normal bills, in the form of money that you would be paying your employees. So I think the very first thing that I would do is I would save and stockpile money. I would investigate, and I'm kind of reading from my notes here, I would investigate all potential sources of money that were available to me, and I would get that process going today. You know, this government stimulus money, that's all well and good, but it's not going to save your business. Okay, it may help a little bit, it may get you through, but ultimately the one thing that keeps small business going is cash or credit, access to cash. So I would immediately start hitting every avenue that I had to get money sourced, whether it is the stimulus money, I would look at lines of credit. I talked to Janice Gilbreth over the weekend about lines of credit that her company offers. The SBA has a loan package going. There are some nonprofits that are offering loans. I would even look at credit cards, guys. I know nobody likes credit card debt, but if you've got 5 credit cards and they each have a $3,000 cash advance limit, I'm not saying use that money. I'm just saying know that that is a reserve of money that you could tap. So the very first thing I would do is I would stockpile money like it's going out of style, or at least have access to that money, because you're going to need that to get you through the shutdown. And then more importantly, you're going to need that on the other side when the business kicks back up and you've got employees and inventory and all that stuff to do. Second thing I would do is this. I would cut expenses and spend as little money as possible just to keep the business viable, open, until things turn around. Now, I know you're not open, but the business is still there. You're just on a break. So I would try to put off payments on everything. All right. I would immediately today, I would start calling landlords. I'd call creditors. I would call everyone that I was spending money with and let them know, hey, we need some help here. We are shut down. We may be shut down for 60 days. I need to know that you are not going to turn off my lights, start an eviction process, do any of that thing. Now, people, the good news here is you're not the only one going through this. All right. It is common knowledge. It is public knowledge. It is broadcast every day how what's going on and the effect it's having on you and other small businesses. So these people should understand. They should sympathize. And I'm not saying that they will agree, but you know what? All they can do is say no. So I would immediately cut those expenses. I would stop spending money on things like advertising. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's an old rule of business that when business is low, you advertise, but if your doors are not open, I'm not sure you need to be spending a couple of $1,000s on ads to get the people in the door. Now, those folks that you're advertising with, God love them. I used to be one of them. They will tell you that you do not want to stop your ads because you will fall out of the sight of your potential customers. Right now, saving money and just keeping the business alive is your priority. It's not advertising for future customers. And I know folks are going to disagree with me, and I don't care. I'm just telling you what I would do if I was in your shoes. So I would cut expenses as much as humanly possible at the business. The next thing that I would do is I would cut expenses at home. If you rely on income from this business to keep the home fires burning, then that business being closed down and that lack of income is going to trickle down to your home life. You need to change your lifestyle today until this mess is cleared up. Where can you cut costs? Can you get a forbearance on your mortgage? That's the first thing that I would try to do. Can you get some relief on car payments? We are a nation full of debt, meaning that most Americans don't have the money to go through missing 1 or 2 paychecks. Most Americans have a mortgage or rent. They have car payments. They're loaded up on debt. If that's you, you need to contact all of these creditors and say, hey, we may miss a payment or two. I don't want this to affect my credit score. Okay, work with me. And you're going to find, I think, that most of them work with you. How much are you spending on cable? How much are you spending on cell phones? Rather than getting that food delivered, you can't eat out, but rather than getting food delivered, go to the store, buy food and cook it yourself. What can you do to reduce the expenses at home now? Okay? Because if you don't have money coming in from the business and you rely on that cash, you don't have money to do all this stuff at home. So where can you cut expenses? Number 4, pause or get deferred payments on everything you can that costs money. Stop buying inventory. Stop spending on advertising. Stop spending on anything that is not required just to keep the doors, well, the doors aren't open, but to keep the business alive. Pause or defer payments. If you owe money to creditors, if you have a merchant account loan or something like that, you need to contact them today. And you need to say, we are closed for the moment. I need some relief. And I think you're going to find that most companies will work with you. If they don't, blast them on social media. Let everybody know. All right, so pause or get deferred payments on everything you can. Number 5, if you buy inventory, this is one of the things. I was in a retail business, so we bought a lot of inventory. If you buy inventory for your store, chances are you either pay for it in advance or you do so on terms, meaning that once you have the inventory, you've got 30, 60, or 90 days to pay for that inventory. If you have outstanding bills from vendors, just call them up and say, hey, I need a break for 30 or 60 days. I fully intend to pay this, but right now I need my money in the bank where I can access it rather than in your account. So contact everyone you owe money to and ask for an extension to pay. Important note here, you're not asking for them to forgive you for the payment. You're just asking for a deferral. I will make it up on the back end. I will catch it up as soon as humanly possible. But for right now, we need a break and we need your help. Number 6, and this is a big one, ask for a break in paying the rent. Typically, the largest expense other than payroll that a business has is rent. So you need to contact your landlord today. And if you can't pay the rent, he needs to know your situation because chances are he's probably got a mortgage on that building. So, but hopefully his mortgage company is giving him a forbearance. So call him up and say, look, I'm a faithful tenant. I am more than happy to pay this, but I need some relief for a couple of months. Can you give me a break? If he's any kind of decent human being with the ability to do so, he's going to give you a break. And you're just asking for a forbearance in the rent, which means you fully intend to make up this money. Maybe you catch it up over the next few months. Maybe he tacks it onto the end of the lease. Maybe he re-amortizes the rent and you do an increase there. Whatever it is, tell him, hey, when this is over, I'm going to be here. I'm going to keep my store open. I'm going to continue to pay the rent. The alternative is you go under. He's left with an empty space, and then things just get ugly with him trying to collect the rent. Now, keep in mind, breaking a lease, one of the hardest things legally to do. You're going to owe that money. I don't care if you go out of business today. If you had a 12-month or whatever lease with a landlord, they're going to come after you to collect. So it's wise to get them on your side because they are sharing in your plight. Number 7, and I think this is a big one, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago about advertising. Even though you have no money and the store is closed temporarily, you need to stay in front of your customers, and you do that with social media. It's free. You should already be on Facebook. If you're not, get on there now. Get your network built. When you stop making noise, people forget you're there. Trust me on this one. You need to be posting something every day on social media. You know me, I'm big on video. I would be posting a video. Hey guys, we're closed at the moment, but we are still doing curbside service. If you will call 233 blah, 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 or look online, you can order there. We will bring the food out to you, or we'll deliver it. Whatever you have to do, keep in front of folks and enlist your followers to help you out. If you're a great business, you've got a following. So you need to just enlist all your friends, family, everybody to help you. You need to stay in front of people because if you don't, they will forget you and you will not survive. That is just simple business logic. Going along with that is you may have to change the way you do business. If people can't walk into your store or your retail establishment or your nail salon, how can you serve them? What can you do differently? If you're a restaurant, of course, you can do the curbside pickup or delivery. If you're a service business, if you come out and service things like HVAC or you're a plumber or an electrician, the only thing really changing in your business is the fact that folks are wary about you coming into their house now. So you need to let them know, hey, we wear gloves. I've got hand sanitizer. I'm not going to touch anything in your house. This is how we're doing things now. If you are a hairdresser or a nail salon, maybe you go on site and cut hair. I know a hairdresser who's doing that. She is actually going to the homes of her client to cut their hair. And there is some exposure there, but she is she's sanitizing. She's not going around anyone but her client, and they're staying. When you're cutting someone's hair, you're usually from behind. So there is that. But how are you, or how can you change the way you conduct business? Now, your revenue is going to go down no matter what. If you don't have people walking in the door, you're probably going to go down 50, 60, maybe a little more. I don't know. But if you can figure out a way to serve them, just to earn enough money maybe to keep things going, do that. Now, this is was really the one that I struggled with. One of the hardest things we do as small business owners and entrepreneurs is lay off or fire people. I had a hard time with this. I kept paying my store managers, even though there was no revenue coming in. I kept them fed because they were key employees and I didn't want to lose them. Now, some of the part-timers, we had to let them go, or we didn't let them go. We just told them, don't come in, we're not open. They went and found something else. So, to qualify for some of these government loans and assistance packages, you have to keep employees on the payroll. Great if you can do that. If not, you cannot sacrifice the business in order to keep employees paid. I'm sorry. Okay. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, your number one priority is to keep that business going because it's your livelihood and it's what you do and you're serving customers. You will do everything you can to keep employees paid, even if they're not there. But most small businesses, you can't do it. You just can't do it unless you've got one of these government loans or you've got a big nest egg. You are not in a position to keep paying people out of pocket because that money's going out when nothing's coming in. I know it's tough. Been there, done that. The one thing I think you could do is be honest with your employees. It's always kind of baffled me because a lot of entrepreneurs are so secretive. They will not share anything with their employees. I always did. So what you need to do is, if you haven't already done it, is you need to have really honest, frank conversations individually with each employee and say, look, we appreciate you. We don't want you going anywhere else, but we understand that if you have to pay your bills, you have to feed your family. So if you need to make other arrangements, we understand. We will do everything we can to keep you and to bring you back on after the fact. But right now, there's just no money to be had. So, help and support them in any way you can, but not to the detriment of the business. And I don't mean to sound harsh, but that's just the bottom line. And here's another one. And I learned this the hard way, and I think you might too. Be ready to reopen when things turn around. Because things will turn around, guys. I mean, this isn't going to last forever, maybe another month or so. But after that, I honestly believe that things will open up, turn around, and we will probably have the biggest recovery in the history of the country financially. And I think your business will see the benefit of that. So you've got to be ready, all right? One of the things that we had to deal with was when we reopened my gun stores, our inventory was low, because we had not been able to order anything, and we ordered inventory every other day in that business. So the inventory was low. A lot of our part-time employees had left, so we were coming back in with a shoestring staff with a reduced inventory. And again, we tried to make it work for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I finally just went, shutting her down, guys. Shutting her down. So be ready to reopen when things turn around, because things will turn around. It's not going to last forever. So be ready. Be ready ahead of time. Have a plan in place that, okay, when it's time to reopen, here's what we need to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And that's one of the reasons why it's important to stockpile as much cash as you can, because it's going to cost some money to get you back reopened. That's when you're going to start throwing money at inventory and employees and at advertising. And get your social media ramped up, because you want to get the word out that you are back. So let's review really quickly. Number 1, stockpile money. Tap every source of money that you can find. You don't have to go pull it out now, but just have access to it. And when you do tap it and pull it out, spend it wisely. This is not a time to be buying things that the business does not need to survive. So set up those access points to money, stockpile it, have it at your at the ready when you need it. Number 2, cut business and personal expenses. Stop spending money on anything that you don't have to necessarily spend money on. All right, this is at the business and at home. If you rely on the income from that business and that business is not generating income, you need to cut back on your expenses. Next, defer payments. Talk to your creditors. Ask them for some relief for 30 or 60 days, probably 60. And ask them to just kind of put things on hold. Make sure they're not going to ding your credit score, although dinging your credit score is secondary to surviving. So talk to them about deferring those payments. Pause all unnecessary spending. This goes back with cutting expenses. Don't be spending money on things that you don't have to. You want to hit the pause button on every dollar that has been going out the door. That's what you got to do. Next, negotiate terms with your vendors. If you do owe people money, if you owe inventory vendors money, what have you, call them up today and say, we're on a break. We need some relief. Can you work with us? We are not trying to get out from under our payments. We simply are looking at a deferral for 60 days. All right. Next, talk to your landlord. This probably should be number 1. You might want to move that up. Talk to your landlord. He knows what's going on. He knows you're closed down. You simply need him to cut you a break for a couple of months. And hopefully, again, his mortgage company is doing the same for him, because we don't want your hardship to become his. But guys, you got to look out for number 1. It's just the nature of the beast. Number 7, use social media to stay in front of customers. It is so important that you stay relevant, that you let people know what's going on with you every day, whether or not you're providing a service or not. You just need to get on Facebook and just talk for a few minutes. Stay in front of people. Remember, you want your customers to connect with you on a personal level. It's one of the reasons why I've always been successful. I'm a personable kind of guy. And I put myself out there and I become friends with all of my clients and customers. And I think that has helped me succeed over time. God knows it was not because of my good looks or my brain. I'm a very little brain. I love that. Number 8, change the way you deliver your product or service if possible. If you're in the food business, restaurant, curbside pickup, delivery, if you're a food truck, offer to go out and park and tell people where you are. Yeah, I know a guy that's doing a food truck now, and he's making a fortune because wherever he goes, people flock. So if you're not in the food business, how can you change the way you do other delivery? I know of some retail stores that are letting people order online, and then they're bringing the goods out curbside to them, which I think is just brilliant. Use the internet, guys. What can you do online to stay relevant and to deliver your service? Put the survival of the company before employees. And I know I'm going to get some hate mail for this one, but it's just the bottom line. You know, we don't take on employees to raise. They're employees. They are paid for work they perform. It is a fair transaction. If they can't perform the work, it's difficult for us to pay them. And again, I don't mean to sound cold, but when it comes to business, you cannot sacrifice your survival for that of the employees. Okay. And number 10, be ready to open when things turn around. Okay. We all know this is going to turn around. We're all going to be okay. Business will pick back up and I think will boom, but you've got to be ready. Put a plan in place today. All right. If we open the 1st of May, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. I'm going to get on the phone with my vendors 2 weeks out. I'm going to arrange for deliveries. I'm going to do everything I can to be ready to pull the trigger when this is over. And it will be over. All right, that's it, guys. Hey, if I can do anything for you, and I'm not talking about real estate here, I'm talking about small business survival. I'm an open door. You've got my phone number, 679-0704. I am more than happy to brainstorm with you. I am more than happy to help you get the word out. If I need to bring my video set up and meet you there at the store, and stay 6 feet away from each other to help you get the word out, I am more than happy to do that. All right, you guys hang in there, band together, support each other, look for other entrepreneurs going through what you're going through, and look for support and fellowship, and we will make it through this together.